Good afternoon and welcome again everybody to another Gateways of the Mind Live. This afternoon we're going to be talking to Naba Iritah Shenmira, who is going to be speaking at the Gateways of the Mind event, which we have coming up in a few weeks' time. Naba is a healer and a Kemetic priest from the Dogon tradition, and he's going to be talking to us now a little bit about how we got to be in this particular path and what it's all about. So good afternoon to you, Naba. How are you?
Good afternoon, David. I'm good. And how's everything in UK?
Everything is just great at the moment. It's we officially, I think the summer has now finished. We've been having a beautiful run of weather here until recently, but today it's absolutely tipping down. So it's back to normal here, I think, and yeah, probably there's going to be a lot more of this over the next few weeks. But and yourself, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm on the trip right now, traveling around US, and it's good to be on with you, and finally having to talk with you and share what we have to share for people to benefit.
That's brilliant. Yeah, we've been trying to talk for a long time now, but due to your busy traveling schedule and also our own busy schedule with our events with the Plant Consciousness the other weekend, it's been difficult to finally sit down and chat. So this is a great privilege for me. And I'm going to begin this interview really by asking you how you became a healer and a priest in the Kemetic tradition, and also a little bit more about the nature of the Dogon people. So perhaps we could start there.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. And it's always a good opportunity to kind of get a chance to introduce yourself or present yourself and talk about your own people instead of other people coming to talk about ourselves. Yeah, I'm a part of a group of young people who were initiated in many years ago to kind of go out like on the colonial education. I made sure to get educated, in a colonial way, and also I got my initiation in the traditional ways and the spirituality. So the goal is just like to be able to rewrite the history ourselves instead of other people writing our own history for us, like write our history ourselves. So what happened is like at the age of 7, 8, 9, 10. Every children in the community, in our society, have to enter the initiation camps. And when they enter the initiation camps, that's when they get to, be initiated in the future responsibility that they will have to carry. And some people will be becoming like drummers, some people becoming like dancers, some people becoming like, priests and so on and so on, healers and all that. So I got a chance to be born in a tradition or in a family that has been doing this type of work that I'm doing for thousands of years. Since the time of the pharaohs, my bloodline, like the Nabas, were the one in charge of the spiritual and astrology, the spirituality and astrology of the pharaoh or of the community wherever they live. So, I mean, doing so, I got a chance also to have my father, my late father, who passed away in 2008, Prophet Laib Naba, the Musa, modern day, that was the one to kind of, get me introduced to this and initiated and, to hold my hands and, show me the way, teach me this is how it goes, this is how it goes, this is how our ancestors did it. So actually, it has to come from if people know about the concept of reincarnation. So every reincarnation will come with a goal, with a responsibility that's kind of predestined. And then I came with maybe that type of destiny where I have to, do what I'm doing. So meaning that maybe in my past life, or whoever is living in this body, the spirit that's living in this body right now, that spirit have been doing this work in the past life, and now it's back trying to continue, the work where the work is left. So I went through initiation, too many different initiations, and I got a chance to study under many healers, from other tribes, not just my tribe and not just my bloodline, but from any other tribe and all that. As we say, knowledge doesn't have really like boundaries. Knowledge is like very open. That's the thing, the thing that's very kind of free to get. You don't really have to struggle to get the knowledge. And when you see someone trying to struggle to get the knowledge, it's because maybe that knowledge is not meant to be for that person. So I didn't really get to struggle a lot. I just have this good luck to have the family on my mother's side, on my father's side, everybody deep in the tradition, holding things together. And I just came into life. And only thing I have to do is like have my discipline, be disciplined and be humble, and make the decision like, okay, I want to take my life with two hands. And then I took it with two hands, and I found myself doing this. But to be honest, this is not something that's kind of I'm talking about it, and it might seem like very simple to people, but really it's something that demands a lot of courage, a lot of bravery, a lot of discipline, and a lot of humility to be able to do what I'm doing right now. Even though I have like my ancestors who have been doing it thousands of years. So that's really like how I end up finding myself, you know, doing. That's how I end up finding myself doing this work, and yes, yeah, and it's just something that's kind of interesting. Whenever a person asks me those type of questions, I'm like, well, it's just like heritage. I just inherit it, and then I'm doing it. So yes, that's how it went.
So you can say that in the tradition that you are a part of, that reincarnation is an extremely important part of the process and an important part of the teachings. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, in my culture, there's nothing that can happen without a human being knowing where they come from, why
Mm-hmm.
they were, and where they will be heading to. So even in my culture, before even a baby, like still in the womb and of the mother, we start doing the divination, checking to see who is this person coming back, why is this person coming back, and then what this person is going to need to be able to carry on what they're coming back to carry on. So we have a very strong belief in the reincarnation, and this is like, I mean, we can't do anything about a human being destiny without really like referring to that person reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Because really like for you and I to be talking right now, you and I we don't really exist if we didn't exist in the past.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't exist in the past, you and I were just like a, a lump of muscles and bones and all that, But the spirit, that's the good thing. The spirit, I mean, the reincarnation has to do with spirit, and the spirit that you and I we carrying right now is like spirit that travel a lot. It's like a long journey coming from somewhere that you and I cannot imagine like how long we've been living on this planet and how long we've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have a strong belief in in reincarnation, and I would say that's the reason why you see like the new religions, like the modern religions, have to kind of deny the aspect of reincarnation, because once they deny the aspect of reincarnation to a human being, that means that that human being is nothing. They're just like a lump of muscles and a lump of bones that they whoever is denying it can get to be kind of misleading, and doing things for actually the one leading them and not for themselves. In our culture, we don't function like that. We function in the way like they know the spirit that's coming, and then they make sure that you carry on the responsibilities that your spirit is imposing on you. So there's no way you can walk, away from what you signed, the contract that you signed that you're coming back to achieve.
Yeah. Can you say, is this something similar to the same way that Tibetan Buddhists also view reincarnation? Is it a similar idea?
Yeah, any indigenous traditions or belief, or any traditional, belief or original belief is has to kind of have this strong understanding of reincarnation and strong respect for the reincarnation. There's nothing that can happen in an original. You go, let me say this: you go to a culture, and then in that culture, in every aspect of their spirituality, they don't get to be really like directing things to the reincarnation, things to the spirit, things to the things that were like in the past life and all that. Just like we call those type of cultures like the new cultures. Like those cultures didn't have like used to. Those cultures didn't have like a past. It's just a culture at some point that end up kind of just coming up, popping up from nowhere, and then okay, start practicing things and all that. So that's like a big aspect of the spiritual life of a human being, and you cannot talk about spirituality without knowing who you are, who you were. To know who you are right now, you have to know who you were in the past life, and then what you were doing in the past life. As we say in my culture, like to make a new rope, you have to look at the old rope, and then you put the old rope to make the new rope. And that's how we call it. The Tibetan, and I got a chance to, be around many high, priests and high leaders of that culture, and we respect each other. We can see that we all have almost the same vision, the same practices, and it's just like maybe some differences depending on where you live. Because if you live on the coast, your practice is going to be different from someone who lives in the mountain or someone who lives in the forest.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone who lives in the Sahara, very hot, is going to be practicing things differently from someone who lives like in the Tibet where it's very cold. So that's really the same.
Yeah, so we're struggling a little bit here with the internet connection, but we'll keep going. One of the things that you said there that interested me a lot was this idea of in order to understand who we are now, we have to understand who we were before. And speaking from my own personal experience, over the last few years and being on the personal journey inwards, what I've discovered is that actually I really didn't know myself completely. And the more I turned inwards and meditated and reflected on who I was, the more I realized I didn't know who I was. I thought I knew who I was, and this image and personality that I had created, I knew that, but actually when I took that away and looked underneath to see what was there, I started to realize there were many other things I didn't understand or know about myself, and this led me to the thought, how can this be? How can I be alive and walking and I even know myself? So I think this is a very important part of the spiritual path, and I think it's interesting that you place so much attention on this. But I have to ask, in the Tibetan tradition, when a lama is about to pass over into the bardo, he leaves instructions sometimes where his next reincarnation can be found. But in your tradition, how is this process done? How do you know that a spirit from a previous ancestor is coming to your tribe?
Yeah, we we have a many diverse how do you call it system of divination that we use to do our researches and be in touch with the invisible. So actually, the logic is like we have this understanding of using the visible to penetrate the invisible, and then to get from the invisible what we need for the visible. So we use most of the time the energy of the earth,
Right.
because there's no human being on the planet that can admit that he is living on Earth, but not benefiting from Earth or not having their destiny linked to the destiny of the planet. I mean, the planet Earth is the one to receive us when we came into life. The planet Earth was the one to take care of our ancestors for them even to survive and then bring us into life. The planet Earth is going to be always also the one to kind of uh, take care of us, feed us, give us some air to breathe, give us food to eat. I mean, everything. We walk on the planet, we sleep on it, we do all of our existence. If we have to summarize the existence that we have as human beings or any being on the planet, there's no way we can detach ourselves from the planet Earth. So we show a lot of humility and a lot of respect to the planet Earth. And our ancestors, understood it and then did a lot of researches in it and end up finding like men to be able to know what's in the invisible. Just let us go in the memory of the planet Earth, and then the planet Earth will tell us what this spirit was 3,000 years ago.
Right.
Because everybody who existed, any spirit that existed before me, is right now in the memory of the planet Earth.
Of course.
So there's no way that I will be looking for like, your first ancestor spirit, asking, investigating on your first ancestor spirit, and then I will not find it. If I don't find it, maybe I did a mistake somewhere. I made a mistake somewhere in my, definition. If there's no mistake, I'm gonna find like the accurate thing.
Right.
Everything I'm gonna find will be like accurate, coming from your first ancestor spirit, who he was, what he was doing, where he was living, and all that. Because the planet will be the one to open that.
Right.
It's like on the computer, open like files.
Right. So the
Like files.
divination is like accessing the files of planet Earth to find out all beings that have walked on the planet.
Right. That's
Right.
how we do. And then we question, and then we are able to, at maybe I would say at 85% of uh, the of 20, wait, 85% of things end up becoming like true.
Right.
That's perfect. 85%.
And is it possible when you were doing this process that you ever come across beings who haven't been on the planet before, who maybe are from other star systems, and this is their first incarnation on Earth, or that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, David, because people saying that our ancestors, get knowledge from aliens, our ancestors, the Dogon, we
Mhm.
discover, the planet and everything, the star system, using like, because the aliens were they want to come and teach us. No, consider this, David. The planet Earth is a planet among many other planets. In the universe, the planet Earth also has to keep some dialogue with other planets,
Mhm.
other galaxies, other constellations, and all that. So, if we are looking for, answers about something that's, is on the moon,
Mhm.
when we checking with the planet, we just check straight, and then the planet will show us what's on the moon.
And can you tell us what is on the moon, Naba?
Yeah, we have to do the divination, and during the divination, doing it, you can find out what's going on. Like you can find out, the spirit about the plants,
Mhm.
the spirit about, the mountains, the spirit about the rivers, and all that. All that. You come across those uh, spirits that are not, I mean, like other spirits, in the space that are not part of, this reality. Like their destiny is not linked
Mhm.
to planet Earth, that their destinies are linked to another planet, but making it like the planet Earth that we're living on has to, keep like a dialogue with those other planets, so we are able to, kind of perceive them and, question and get the answers that we need to get.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the core interests I think people have in the Dogon people is this idea that from the cave paintings that the Dogon people had painted, and from the strange um, costumes that they wear for ceremonies, that there was this connection from the Dogon people to the Sirius star system, and quite possibly a hidden white dwarf planet, otherwise known as Sirius C, which actually we weren't able to see until very recently with modern telescopes. So this obviously has interested many Western people, asking how did these Dogon people know about this, and where did they get these ideas from? Can you tell us anything more about this, or is this just something to sell books?
Yeah, I got those type of question every time. But
I'm sure you.
sometimes I tell people, yeah, I can kind of, comment on it, but I cannot really like give all of the steps that it takes for our ancestors to be able to know, how to follow all of those systems. Right now, I'm following a calendar that we call the Sidereal calendar. That's a calendar that's based on the star series in the constellation of Orion.
Sure.
So that calendar is actually something that explain a lot about how our ancestors, discover all of those type of knowledges that human being. As I was explaining, we have what we call the concept of the dialogue of energies, and in the dialogue of energies, we have another level that we call like the dimensions, and there's many. The average Joe, like a normal human being, has the ability to be able to perceive only the first, second, and third dimensions. Now, I mean, no matter what knowledge we might consider we know, no matter what knowledge we might consider that we have or we know or experience that we haven't, every human being at the same level, being like a human being equal, we are only allowed, or we only have like the gifts to be able to perceive only three dimensions:
Mm-hmm.
the first, the second, and the third. From the fourth dimensions, things start becoming complex for our perceptions,
Mm-hmm.
for our brain as humans. So our ancestors were able to create those initiation, those knowledge, those uh, aspects of our culture that will allow us to go past the fourth, the fifth, the seventh dimensions, and that's what led our ancestors to be able to perceive what's going on there. And it comes with what? It comes with quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Our ancestors were living. Tell me, how many commandments do the modern human being follow right now in their lives?
Not many.
Not many, 10. Some people talk about 10, the 10 commandments.
Yeah.
But at that time, our ancestors were following 77 commandments.
Wow.
We considered like a human being with quality. You have to be able to follow the 77 commandments. We call it the, the original book
Mm-hmm.
of the ordinance that the gods or the higher spirit gave us. You want to be able. You are human. Your body, you sweat. You don't brush your teeth for 2 days. Your breath smells. You eat. You eat. You have to go use bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you eat only dead. Anything that's dead, that's the only thing you eat in your body. You put
Mm-hmm.
in your body. So already your body is like impure. So there's no way we will allow you to access the fourth dimension. But the only way you allowed to access the fourth dimension is by you being able to follow this commandment. If you're able to follow this, we are sure that you will be at some point at the level where you can access all of the other dimensions.
Right.
And for those who want to, check the original 77 commandments, if you go on the website, the earthcenter.com, you look for the 77 commandment, you will see like those are not commandments easy to follow. I mean, right now I'm struggling to follow them because it's like very difficult to follow those commandments. So it has to be like a lot of discipline and a lot of work to be able to get to that level. So, but for people who are following, I just want them to understand that it's not like we're trying to keep things away from people, keep knowledge away from people, but every knowledge comes with discipline. Every knowledge comes with apprenticeship, comes with learning. And to get something, you have to learn, follow all of the steps, experience it. A knowledge with that experience is not really like a knowledge. So what we do is like I would just explain to people like the dialogue of energy, the quality of life, those commandments are what kind of come together to get our ancestors to be able to perceive what's going on up there.
Right.
And not just like, people visit us, but we don't call them aliens. All of those things that people are writing about, like people visiting alien at the one building and doing all that. Yes, it's not like they come and impose things. It's like an exchange, a dialogue. We exchange with them. They need some from us, we need some from them, and then we exchange. We negotiate and we exchange. So they are not aliens. In our culture, we don't call them aliens. They are spirits. They are entities that are part of cosmos that we all are kind of trying to build together and preserve. So they need, for them, there's a need to preserve those entities and spirits. There's a need for them to preserve this, what we have,
So
the universe.
You can say,
yes.
I was going to say, you can say that they are something like your star family, your star brothers and sisters. That they are not aliens, but they are like your brothers and sisters, but in a different dimension from us.
Yes. Yes. It's like they need to preserve things. We need to preserve things. So how are we going to work together to preserve what we all are kind of in charge of? So that's where we end up now, like being able to perceive what they have by working on ourselves, working on our qualities and all that.
Yeah. So by way of an introduction, we've covered some interesting topics there already. But what I wanted to ask you about was the fact that you are now so much in the UK, and you are setting up a centre, I believe, in Birmingham, and you are taking on some initiates to go into the process to become a Kemetic priest. Is that right?
Yes, that's what we're doing. The mission that we have is to share this knowledge with people. And as I was saying, knowledge is not something that you can just kind of own and say like, I'm the ownership of this knowledge. So we are trying to expose. We look at the state of our race, as human beings, and our elders in the camps and in the villages and the kingships and all that are like, man, we need to, bring this knowledge back. We need to share our knowledge with people. Because, I mean, it's been like thousands of years that we close our temples, where you cannot access our temple. There's nothing that will come out of our temple to go to people. We kind of close everything. And now we just kind of open our temples and then sharing our temples knowledge with people for them to know, how to live. But the goal is what? The goal is just to make sure everybody got something. Because, I mean, as we say, a good spirit in the body will be what will make a good place for everyone to live.
Yeah.
So we all need to have a good spirit, and then we bring in those principles that will put everybody on the same level for us to have like a good level of a good level of life or existence on Earth, and then leave some heritage because we don't know what we're gonna be. I mean, if we look at this and we're asking ourselves, what's gonna be the next generation? The generation after us, what are they gonna be doing? What's gonna be happening?
Hmm.
So are we gonna keep, moving far further and further away from our original knowledges and knowledge that make us be like human to become more like robots? Or
Hmm.
are we going to just think, I mean, keep both and be in the middle and do what we can do while life is kind of, evolving. So that's the goal. And we have right now a school that started in London, and we have some students who already kind of enrolled themselves. And yeah, the next round of initiate will come after 3 months. So we will function on the basis of generations of groups. So one group starts, they finish, another group comes in. So
Right.
that's how we function. So there's another one happening next 2 weeks. There will be another orientation happening in Birmingham, where we're trying to have like the headquarters of this knowledge, this temple that we are opening in on the land of UK. Already we have like in the US we have about 5 temples functioning on the American soil where we share the knowledge, initiate people, give them the degrees, and then they are welcome. Like you go back to the Dogon, you go back to our people with the knowledge that we gave you, you are already working, you already feel like at home. So we're trying to bring the knowledge out of the bush to the concrete bush and then teach our people. Yeah.
And why have the Dogon people decided now to go out into the Western world and to the wider world and share this knowledge that has been hidden for so long? What's caused this?
Yeah, it's it's this sense of you know projecting ourselves in the future
Hmm.
and looking at the pace of our race right now, we that brings like a lot of worries. That brings a lot of time what was following the principles of the nature, respecting the nature, boundaries and all that, respecting like spirits, respecting life, respecting rivers, respecting the trees, the plants and all that, considering looking at them like they are also like, our spirits sharing the planet with us. We didn't have all of the problems that we have on right now. But during the invasion of,
From another, we're
yeah,
at issues. It's so I apologize for this video. It's I believe the weather is causing us some issues here. So just say the last sentence again, please, Naba.
yeah, I said looking at those spirits, looking at the plants, at the trees, at the mountains, at the rivers, all of them are spirits,
Mm.
entities, sharing this
Yeah.
planet with us. And respecting them, live with them, and interact with them is something that is common to kind of bring the balance that we're looking for on us human beings. But since the fall of our temples, meaning since the Greeks, the Romans decided to kind of break our temples, loot our temples, and take everything they want from the temples. The
Mm.
only way we have to preserve ourselves is kind of hide ourselves. It was a way of preservation. We didn't just close our temple because we just wanna close them. But we needed to preserve ourselves, preserve the
Yes.
knowledge that we have, so that the next generation, the one, who were common, saying that they want to lead the planet, they want to lead humanity, they want to be like leaders, and things like that, control everything. We said, okay, go ahead and do it. And for about 25 centuries, look at the state of our planet. Look at the state of our lives. That's like, killings, problems, the earth reacting, the seas trying to take over lands and things like that. So we have a lot of problems. And why those problems are happening? Because there's no balance.
Yeah.
We need to bring that balance in life, in the living. So that's the reason why our ancestors decided, like, okay, they think it's time that we bring back that knowledge. And it's going to take maybe another, 20 centuries for the planet to go back to the way it is. Maybe it might not, because people are kind of desperate. We put our faith, we put our belief into some ideologies, into some political, agendas and religious agendas, but we see that it's not really like solving our problems. It's not answering our questions that we ask every day. Because there's some questions that we ask every day, and those ideologies and those systems don't really get to answer those questions. So let us bring, this back to people and let the people themselves regenerate. Because the knowledge we bring is like will allow the person, the individual, to kind of regenerate, the spirit, the body, the mind, and everything. Through the regeneration, we will hope, like maybe in the next few generations, we will adopt the position that we need to adopt to have like the balance, instead of us just going like in a chaos. It's like chaos everywhere. So that's really the reason why our elders decided. Normally, this type of knowledge, you have to be, sitting in the bush with the elders in the temples and all that for about 7 years.
But we are seeing similar experiences now from many indigenous cultures, many secret teachings before that, like the Mayan people, the Tibetan Buddhist people, they kept only for the privileged initiates. Now this information is being released from all areas of the world, because it seems that there is a real understanding that this 2,500 years of chaos that we have inflicted upon ourselves and on the planet needs to be put back into balance. And so it really feels like that all of this incredible wisdom that is out there from indigenous people like the Dogons and many other tribes all across the world, this information that is stored there in the psyche and the consciousness of these people now is being released back to particularly the West, I think, but also to the industrialized world, so they can see, okay, there is a way forward from here.
Yeah, that's the reason, like it's something that is not just the Dogon, and we don't just have to kind of be talking and then take like, pride from it. It's like something that's like universal.
Yeah.
Something that is like natural, like that's what I'm saying, all of the original beliefs, all of the original practices, all of the original spiritualities, feel it, and they feel the importance to kind of react right now. This is the right time to react, because we don't react at this moment. It's not going to be good for the next few generations to come.
Yeah.
And our leaders keep selling us the idea of this futuristic, concept, this kind of illusion, that they have in their mind.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be following other human beings' ideologies or futuristic minds, or are we supposed to be following what the nature imposes on us? And that's the goal. So we rather follow the nature, what the nature imposes upon us, and the responsibility that the universe gave us. We rather kind of take things with 2 hands and then move forward and see what's going to be. It's like a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah. So Look, you're going to be with us in a few weeks' time in London for Gateways of the Mind, where we're going to be exploring what it means to be alive, what it means to live consciously, to dream consciously, and then also what it means to perhaps die consciously and progress into the afterlife. So you're going to be talking about that from the Kemetic tradition. Obviously, this is very much linked to the Book of the Dead from the Egyptian people. It's the same tradition. It goes back a long time. Can you just give us a very, very brief flavour of what you're going to be talking about, without giving too much away, but just give us a very little brief insight into what you hope to cover at Gateways in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, first of all, I have to be honest and say that I really appreciate the work that Gateways of the Mind is doing,
Thank you.
kind of providing this podium for people who are trying to wake up, or people who already kind of awaken, to come and share something. And it's like you really creating like this table, this round table where we come in to sit, and then it's kind of give and take.
Yeah.
Every culture is at some point, we all are the same, and we have to share.
Yeah.
To be able to move forward. Yes, the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, is a very big subject to really like go into, and I will be kind of presenting the original Book of the Dead, because right now we have like only the comments that people made on the Book of the Dead, and some people even didn't get to translate the Medu, like that's like what they call the Egyptian hieroglyphs, the Medu Mai. They didn't get to translate it, perfectly, to really like get the original sense of the Book of the Dead. What is hidden behind the Book of the Dead? Why do we call it the Book of the Dead? Now, also, I'm going to be trying to present, like, in our belief, in our practices, death, what's really like death, and what happened after death, and what happened, we already talking about reincarnation. That's like one big aspect of it, what I'm going to be sharing with people, and, to just make sure, like, people to understand, like, we just don't show people, like, we don't live only once.
Yeah.
Only once, because if like we have like old civilization, like the Book of the Dead, like old books, okay, let's forget about the Bible and the Quran. Those are very new books, like less than 2,000 years, and write the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and like the Tibetan Book of the Dead and all that. Those are like very old. So if you have your grandfather telling you like, hey, you see that, that's a tree, and then you have your father who's telling you, no, grandfather is, you can see that we are moving towards a self-destruction.
Yes.
So we have to go back to, I mean, if there's any story I need to know about, about your family, and I see your father, you say, okay, this is my father, you can check with him. Then at the same time, you show me like, this is my grandfather. I'm going to go straight to your grandfather and ask your grandfather my questions, because he was enough old to know. I mean, he's been enough, he has enough knowledge to know what even the whole, your father's life is like in your grandfather right now. He knows everything about that. So that's, I'm just putting it, hoping that people understand it, That's the only way I can put it for people to see, like, man, we have like such old books, with deep knowledge, with deep wisdom, with I mean, like very high, knowledges that our ancestors left, and they use those knowledges to survive, to be able to survive and maintain the balance of humanity, the balance of the universe. And then suddenly we have like the books that are like less than 2,000 years old, coming to tell us like, forget about those books.
Yeah.
Those books were like nothing. That was like darkness. Forget about that. That's like, man, we don't function like that. A normal brain don't really function like that. So that's what I'm trying to come and show people and prove people, and I hope it's going to benefit everybody. And once again, I would say, long life to get off the mind, to keep, moving forward and help people get the knowledge that they need.
Thank you, Naba, for those kind words. And yes, you're absolutely right. One of the cornerstones of what we try to do with Gateways is to bring different traditions from different parts of the world to paint a picture or a story for the people attending the event, so they can feel a deep spiritual connection to, in your case, to the Kemetic traditions, the Dogon people. But this year we also have somebody from the Sufi tradition, and in previous events we've had Taoist Qigong masters, and people from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition as well. So, yeah, and also we have Western scientific thought as well, because that also has some valuable knowledge that can help us understand some of the old traditions in a more modern way. So by doing this, we definitely like to bring all of these ideas together so that people can see that whether you're coming from Africa, whether you're coming from Tibet, from South America, that many of these ideas are actually the same. They are just presented in a slightly different format from a slightly different period in time, but the same level of spirituality is underneath. But each of us that has had many previous lives, possibly as a Dogon, possibly as a tribesperson in the Amazon, or all of these things, and we understand that we can find the connection to certain material, certain knowledge that for some reason seems to feel familiar to us. And so we feel that by presenting people with as many different traditions as possible, wisdom traditions, they can find something, maybe one, maybe two, maybe even more of the presentations that feels familiar to them and they can use in their practice. So it's really, really great that you're going to be with us in a few weeks' time at Gateways of the Mind. We're also hoping to be able to organise a special one-day workshop with you afterwards, so we're going to be releasing information about that in a few days' time to follow on from your talk. But where can people find out more about your organisation, Naba, and what you do, and if they're interested in taking an initiation, what is the website?
The website is www.thearth center.com.
So it's earthcenter.com, is that correct?
Yeah, the earthcenter.com.
TheEarthCenter.com. Okay, well, when we send out the information about this interview, we'll also put the link to the website so people can find out more about what you're doing. It's a hugely fascinating topic. Personally, I find any of the ancient historical cultures of interest, but the Dogons particularly, I think, have a lot to offer us. And even just talking to you now in this interview, I've got a feel of the depth of the history of the wisdom and the knowledge. And sometimes I think it's very disrespectful of us in modern cultures, or even from 2,000 years ago, like you said, when we've created the Bible and other books like the Quran, to assume that these books are the final word on everything spiritual, because this is obviously negating a whole period of several thousand years, or maybe even more, several 100,000 years, who knows, worth of spiritual knowledge that has gone before that. So it's very, very important to us that you're with us this year and to give us that perspective. And we're very much looking forward to hearing your talk. So it's been an absolute delight to have you here today, Naba. We've battled with the weather, with the internet connection, so hopefully people have stuck with us through some of the more difficult parts of the interview, and they've managed to tune into the incredible knowledge that you have. And we're very much looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time.
Thank you, David. Thank you, and I'll be ready.
Of course, I wouldn't expect anything less from you. Okay, Naba, you take care, and we'll speak again soon. Bye bye now.
Blessings.